Welcome to TiE Atlanta's September monthly meeting. Welcome to all of you. So the first group that we want to thank is our sponsors. We have our silver sponsors, Verima, Deutsche Bank, and McGladrey. We have a number of bronze sponsors, including Coca-Cola, NIIT, CBeyond, which is actually our event sponsor. And then we have a number of media sponsors that help us through every meeting, advertising our event. TiE Atlanta is one of an ecosystem of, I think, 57 chapters globally. Today, for this event, we have a community sponsor, which is the Atlanta Telecom Professionals, ATP. And I know there's lots of you here tonight. So Michelle Pierce and Rick Luce, who were very helpful to us in both in finding speakers and in advertising the events. Thank you, ATP, and we hope to do many more events together. I'm now going to turn the mic over to Roop Singh, who's going to be our moderator for this evening. Roop is an active member of TiE Atlanta, serving on its executive committee, and he's been very instrumental in putting together TMT.
Awesome. So before I move forward, I must thank our team here, Sanjay, Kareem, Ashish. Thank you all for putting all the effort to put this event together. I think it's a very exciting topic, and it's a very confusing topic. These objectives apart, most significantly, we are here to get a sense of what can really cloud do for you. What does it mean for you, the user? And I know there are a lot of entrepreneurs in this group here. So what can really cloud do for an entrepreneur? Or where can the entrepreneur take the cloud? Maybe that's the question. And to explore these answers, we have an excellent expert panel. Vinod is the Vice President of Product Technology at Cox Communication. And he leads Cox in the lines of business including video, high-speed internet, telephony, and commercial business. So thank you, Vinod, for being with us. Next on his right is Mr. Fred. Fred is the CEO and founder of Ceracore. It is a global enterprise cloud provider headquartered in Atlanta. And Fred was also the chief security officer and founding member of Air Defense, which was eventually acquired by Motorola, a huge success story. Fred also serves on the board for the National Association of Telecom Professionals. Thank you, Fred, for joining us. Kevin Nichols. Kevin is a GM and vice president at GorillaBox, a very early stage entrepreneurial type company. They've done very well recently. Wonderful. So you mentioned a couple of areas, elasticity and flexibility in the cloud. Would you expand on the value chain where you play within this industry?
So, for example, I'll give you a customer of ours. It's a very popular television show. They, on the night of the show, they expand 6 to 10 times what they normally would be at capacity. So in the old days, like 2 years ago, they would be having to be buying the equipment to match their peak, okay? And so most of the time, their business, the hardware would sit there idle until the day of the show, and then it would peak out. And what I mean by elasticity is what the cloud gives a customer like that is they expand when they need to expand and come back down when they need to expand. So they're really only paying for capacity the night of the show, and the rest of the time they're sort of at a minimal cost. The technology that's called VDI, or virtual desktop technology, which will sort of go back to the old mainframe days where you're essentially having central processing on your servers and then pushing out your desktops to all the laptops and desktops out there and controlling it in a central place. And we've seen that coming on more and more. So I think the cloud as we know it today is mostly server-based, and I think as we move, the cloud just makes so much sense as far as what you really think of computing power. It's like you use your phone, and you don't want to worry about how many text messages I have, so you get the unlimited text message thing. And same with the data plans, and computing is going that way. I don't want to worry about having to build my infrastructure at the most I'll ever use it and then be stuck when I go over it. I just want to know, as long as I'm using it, I've got capacity, and in my mind, that's sort of how cloud is going.
It meant it was a a big reliable box, right, that we can stream mobile video through to for content providers, service providers, and then along comes the cloud. Okay, so crap. I think we have to rename the company. Gorilla boxes are no longer applicable. It's more of a cloud type of ecosystem, as Fred certainly noted. Let me give you a little bit of background on Gorilla Box, and I'll answer some of the questions as far as how the cloud is pertinent to the business of applications, especially mobile video, streaming mobile video. Gorilla Box is a 5-year-old company. We're based out of London, and we power mobile TV, live TV, video on demand for content providers, service providers. Some content providers that we do business with and we provide streaming TV is the BBC, Sky Sports, part of News Corp, and a number of others. Warner Brothers, we have a digital rights management system that we stream, we'll be streaming trailers for, and a couple other bigger name content providers domestically and also internationally. In addition to that, we provide TV everywhere type of solutions for mobile streaming, and really mobile and desktop, the IPTV, the whole space. So this whole cloud computing revolution, if you want to call it, is very interesting. As Fred correctly noted, when we were provisioning for some of our customers, especially the BBC, for instance, we had to provision to the highest peak traffic times, and that was very inefficient.
It's enhancing enterprise access the same way that we're getting all of these other convergence things around TV and video and streaming and so on. And what that allows us to do is to improve support and everything from a central standpoint. But it also allows us to provide complete device independence to our users. And that way we don't have to specify that you have to take a laptop home, right? I'd much rather travel with an iPad than carrying a laptop, right? And the ability to then gain access to those same applications.
You're seeing a disruption to the business model that's going to happen, but the key is the content and content ownership and content protection. Because at the end of the day, all this, especially, I'm not talking about user-generated content, even though that is an interesting area that I think is still evolving about. Consumers today do not see content that they create necessarily under any kind of special protection, but will that still be true? And, some years down the line, I think it's an interesting question. But I think for traditional providers, I think even in the U.S. today, more than 90% of the content that you typically experience comes from just 5 providers, so 5 big companies, ABC, Disney, those guys, Fox, and so on, right? So they protect that very, very carefully. And the only reason you haven't seen this explode more is because they have not figured out what the new business model is, right? I mean, if they went directly to consumers, how do they replace that?
The trend is for more, the way I see it at least, more professional content being put on the IP infrastructure. And not competing with the cable plant, but really, as I mentioned before, in a complementary fashion. That's an art to making that happen. But the cloud, again, will help enable that type of delivery in more of a digital rights management perspective for digital rights protection. But from a user perspective, what does a user care about? The user cares about, I want my content anytime, anywhere. Either on my mobile device, if I'm sitting at home, I want to watch it on my 60-inch TV. If I'm going to the airport, I want to watch it on my iPad. I want my content when I want it. I'm not going to settle for less. So that's that TV everywhere type of mentality. So what's the trend on that? The trend really is, I think, a transition from a linear type of programming more to an on-demand model. And I think the cloud can help enable that type of model.
Appreciation. Thanks, Roop. Wonderful job, and thanks to all the panelists. Hope everyone enjoyed, and I'll say quick round of applause for the team, for the panelists over here.